Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to give you some tips on how to answer in your part 3 listening IELTS test. Okay, so let's get started. As always, you have to start with reading the task, what you're supposed to do. Remember, this small step is very important. It depends a lot on how you understand the task. Okay, so in part 3, you will have to choose two answers. Okay, so the question 21, 22 is combined here, and there are 5 answers for 2 questions. And the task is to choose 2 letters from A to E. Okay, then read the question, and if you decide to take the paper test, paper IELTS module, you will have the chance to underline the words, to write the possible synonyms, and you will be able to write even the answers while listening to the dialogue. However, if you take computer-based test, you might not have this opportunity. Okay, so let's read the question and highlight or underline the most important features here in the questions. So, which two things did Colin find most satisfying about his bread reuse project? So we have to listen. What did Colin find most satisfying about his bread reuse project? And we have to pay attention to the word to. Okay, you see this even is written in a big font. So to pay your attention, you will have to listen on it, and you have to listen and choose two options only. A. Receiving support from local restaurants. B. Finding a good way to prevent waste. C. Overcoming problems in a basic process. D. Experimenting with designs and colors. E. Learning how to apply 3D printing. Questions 23, 24. Choose two letters, A to E. In questions 23, 24, the same task. Which two ways do the students agree that touch-sensitive sensors for food labels could be developed in future? A. For use on medical products. B. To show that food is no longer fit to eat. C. For use with drinks as well as foods. D. To provide applications for blind people. E. To indicate the weight of certain foods. Okay, so let's start listening to the dialogue.
Part 3. You will hear two food science students called Marie and Colin discussing their final year projects. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 24.
Okay, so you are going to have around 20-25 seconds to read all the questions and the answers. Use this time wisely and read all the questions and the answers. Also, use your imagination. Try to imagine what are they talking about. And
now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 24.
I haven't seen you for a bit, Marie.
No, I've been busy with my project.
You're making a vegan alternative to eggs, aren't you? Something that doesn't use animal products.
Yes, I'm using chickpeas. I had two main aims when I first started looking for an alternative to eggs, but actually I found chickpeas have got more advantages.
Right.
But how about your project on reusing waste food? You were looking at bread, weren't you?
Yes, it's been hard work, but I've enjoyed it. The basic process was quite straightforward, breaking the stale bread down to a paste, then reforming it.
But you were using 3D printing, weren't you, to make the paste into biscuits?
Yeah, I'd used that before, but in this project, I had time to play around with different patterns for the biscuits and finding how I could add fruit and vegetables to make them a more appetizing colour. And I was really pleased with what I managed to produce.
It must have been a great feeling to make something appetizing out of bits of old bread that would have been thrown away otherwise.
It was. And I'm hoping that some of the restaurants in town will be interested in the biscuits. I'm going to send them some samples.
I came across something on the internet yesterday that might interest you. It was a company that's developed touch-sensitive sensors for food labels. It's a special sort of label on the food package. When the label's smooth, the food is fresh. And then when you can feel bumps on the label, that means the food's gone bad. It started off as a project to help visually impaired people know whether food was fit to eat or not.
Interesting. So, just solid food?
No, things like milk and juice as well. But actually, I thought it might be really good for drug storage in hospitals and pharmacies.
Right. And coming back to food, maybe it'd be possible to use it for other things besides freshness, like how many kilograms a joint of meat is, for example.
Yes, there's all sorts of possibilities.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 25 to 30.
All right, so let's talk about these 4 questions and why these answers are the correct answers. Okay, so here, the question 21-22. Which 2 things did Colin find most satisfying about his bread reuse project? The answers B and D are correct answers. Finding a good way to prevent waste and experimenting with designs and colors. Remember that here, when a girl told him that probably he learned how to apply 3D printing, he said that he used it before. Okay, so which means that he didn't learn how to apply 3D printing while working on this project, but while working with the reuse project, he learned how to experiment with patterns and colors. So instead of designs, there was a word patterns used. Okay, so it was a synonym to this word. I hope you were able to catch the synonym patterns. Okay, why the variant A, receiving support from local restaurants? In the end of their discussion of the questions 21-22, he told that he hopes that the restaurants will be interested in future. He is going to send some samples. All right, he still didn't work with any restaurant, so he is going to send some samples. Okay, and he was talking about this. However, variant C, overcoming problems in a basic process, he didn't mention any information about it. Questions 23-24, they were talking about, in the beginning, they were talking about all of these 3 variants, variant B, C, D. To show that food is no longer fit to eat means it's not fresh, and it was used for liquids as well as any other food, and it was first developed for blind people. So it has been developed. All the 3 variants have been developed. Okay, I am going to write for all the three questions. For all the three answers, B, C, D. So the answers A and E are correct. This was the last that Colin mentioned. He hopes that this will be used in future to show how many kilograms food weighs. And Marie, if I'm not mistaken, a girl who was discussing her project, told that she hopes or it would be a good idea to develop something like that for use on medical products. Okay, so here this part is done. Let's move on to the second part of the IELTS listening part 3. Okay, so here's the second part. And this part is a little bit more complicated since you will have to choose between options here and to match them with the food trends. Okay, so what are the following steps? Let's read the task first. What is the student's opinion about each of the following food trends? Choose 6 answers from the box and write the correct letter. These are the letters, so you have to read the options. Then you read food trends, and then from letters A to H, write down next to the questions 25 to 30. There are more options. There are 8 options, and there are 6 food trends. So this means that 2 options will not be used here. Okay, so let's read the options first. A. This is only relevant to young people. B. This may have disappointing results. C. This already seems to be widespread. D. Retailers should do more to encourage this. E. More financial support is needed for this. F. Most people know little about this. G. There should be stricter regulations about it. H. This could be dangerous. Food trends. Use of local products. Reduction in unnecessary packaging. Gluten-free and lactose-free food. Use of branded products related to celebrity chefs. Development of ghost kitchens for takeaway food. Use of mushrooms for common health concerns. Okay, so once you are done with it, you are going to listen to dialogue.
Now listen and answer questions 25 to 30.
I was reading an article about food trends predicting how eating habits might change in the next few years.
Oh, things like more focus on local products. That seems so obvious, but the shops are still full of imported foods.
Yes, they need to be more proactive to address that.
And somehow motivate consumers to change, yes.
One thing everyone's aware of is the need for a reduction in unnecessary packaging. But just about everything you buy in supermarkets is still covered in plastic. The government needs to do something about it.
Absolutely. It's got to change.
Do you think there'll be more interest in gluten and lactose-free food?
For people with allergies or food intolerances? I don't know. Lots of people I know have been buying that type of food for years now.
Yes, even if they haven't been diagnosed with an allergy.
That's right. One thing I've noticed is the number of branded products related to celebrity chefs. People watch them cooking on TV and then buy things like spice mixes or frozen foods with the chef's name on. I bought something like that once, but I won't again.
Yeah, I bought a ready-made spice mix for chicken, which was supposed to be used by a chef I'd seen on television. And it didn't actually taste of anything.
Did the article mention ghost kitchens used to produce takeaway food?
No, what are they?
Well, they might have the name of a restaurant, but actually, they're a cooking facility just for delivery meals. The public don't ever go there. But people aren't aware of that. It's all kept very quiet.
So people don't realise the food's not actually from the restaurant.
Right.
Did you know more and more people are using all sorts of different mushrooms now to treat different health concerns? Things like heart problems.
They might be taking a big risk there.
Yes, it's hard to know which varieties are safe to eat. Anyway, maybe now we...
That is the end of part 3. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to part 3.
All right, so here are the answers to all the questions. Okay, so I am not going to explain all the answers. I hope you were able to listen to the dialogue and to see why all these answers are correct. So thanks for being with me today. Stay tuned. More videos will be coming. Have a nice day. Bye.